So, I mean, what do you make of that, Daniel? I
Yeah.
have a lot of thoughts on it. Listen,
Yeah.
it's the NFL, man. That's why if a team is bad, they have the hopes of drafting a Shedeur Sanders or a quarterback that can help right the ship. I hate this notion that, these guys gotta control where they land. And I get it. There's some organizations you just don't want guys to end up in. Maybe if it's like a Cleveland, right? Who just haven't had success at the quarterback position. Or if it's a dysfunctional organization, maybe like the Panthers, something like that. Maybe you go out of your way and you say, "Hey, I don't want my quarterback son um, to land there." I could understand that, but to me, I feel like this is a little overstepping. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I think, well, it's 50-50, man. I think it 1000%, let's not deny it is overstepping. That is what it is. It's something where you rarely see this. And that's where the conversation of I agree with you. This is football. You should go wherever you land. The point I will say that I respect Deion for, it is 1000%, it is overstepping, but it's very similar. Let's talk about it, right? The whole LeBron James Bronny conversation, right? Nepotism. I believe it's a real thing. And that's why I think that with this situation, it sounded very much, and we've talked about this on the show before, it sounded very much like Deion Sanders there said, "Hey, I'm not going to give you a team, but here's the understanding. The understanding is my son, Shador and Travis are going to go to teams that know what to do, especially Shedeur. They know what to do with the quarterback, not necessarily the head coach, but he said somebody in that organization knows what to do with a quarterback. And that screams a lot like the Las Vegas Raiders, Malik. It does. He's got that relationship with Tom Brady and everything he said there. He didn't give a team, but he said, I want somebody in an organization that has an understanding of what to do with the quarterback. So that means somebody who's won a Super Bowl. That means somebody who's a head coach that's done it before, that's developed elite talent, or that means somebody in an organization that is a superstar. And that sounds a lot like Tom Brady with the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think when you look at these other teams, Malik, the Cleveland Browns, like you said, they're top 5
Mhm.
potential selection right now. There is no shot in hell Deion's going to want his son to go there,
Yeah.
right? You look at some of these other teams. It could be the Giants. It could be the Cowboys. But all around, I think that Deion Sanders is going to make sure that whatever happens, his son goes to where he wants him to
I
go. So,
just want to be clear about something. For me, it's not a race thing. So can we stop with this Manning
yeah.
Elway Sanders thing? I don't care who it is. First of all, I
Mhm.
was way too young when Arch Manning did that. I'm not a fan of it regardless. It's meddling.
Yeah.
Like if a team is poor and a team isn't doing well, I believe that whether we like it or not, that's the process, right? If you're a bad team, you have the chance to draft a star player in college that could literally change the face of your organization or help your organization come from the slums.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with race. I don't care if it's Archie Manning, John Elway. If I had a show back then, I would be saying the same exact thing. I don't care who you are. I just think that is interrupting the process. And people are saying, "Well, Dion wants what's best for his son." Doesn't every parent?
Yeah.
The only difference is he's a Hall of Fame cornerback, and he probably has a lot of pull within the league. He knows a lot of people. I take issue with people meddling regardless of who it is. If Jimmy Burrow stepped in for Joe Burrow, I would say something. If Tua Tagovailoa's parents stepped in, I would say something regarding that.
Mhm.
It's not. It's just. I had a problem when Kyler Murray's dad was answering all his questions for him
Yeah.
and wasn't allowing him to lead. It's a poor look. No matter which way we slice it, it's a poor look. Like at the end of the day, I think that you should let the process play out.
Mhm.
Then you can probably have conversations and talk about, once he gets drafted somewhere, maybe getting someone in to work with your son,
Yeah.
right? To help him throughout the process. Or maybe you can set up a meeting, you know, maybe he's gonna represent us. I have no idea. Maybe you try to get more involved with said organization so you can have more control of how your son's career goes. That's a different way I want you to take, but to actively step in and either prevent a team from drafting your son when they have the right to do so. And let's be clear, they have the right to do so regardless.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting look for a guy that hasn't even played a down in the NFL yet, Dion.
Mhm.
Right? He got to play amongst pros, regardless. You had your career, you had to earn your chops, you had to show what you were capable of. Your son's got to do the exact same thing. And Sean Brennan says, you could also ruin that star player, young Wilson, Darnold, even Lawrence. If you can get your kid in a better spot, you do it. Well, this isn't Pee Wee. This isn't high school. This is the pros. Guess what? There's been a ton of players who are talented that don't pan out. And the ones that are truly strong mentally, because guess what? His dad can't play for him. He's got to play.
Mm-hmm.
His dad's got to play. His dad can't play for him. His dad can make all the moves out on the outside, but at the end of the day, it's going to be Shedeur stepping on that field. It's going to be Shedeur proving that he could be a franchise quarterback. That's the God's honest truth. Nowhere is that okay. If a team is bad and they have the opportunity to draft Shedeur Sanders, is they're well within their right to draft Shedeur Sanders. If Shedeur Sanders can't cut it in the NFL because his daddy didn't step in and get him in a more favorable spot, in a more favorable situation, what does that tell you about your said franchise quarterback? Because at the end of the day, when you get to the NFL, you ain't playing for the name on your back. You're playing for the team that drafted you. Then comes the name on your back. So my thought process is, whoever drafts Shedeur Sanders, understand the baggage you're coming with. You are coming with Deion. You are coming with the Sanders name. But my God, we're in 2024. We're talking about making it so where we control where a quarterback lands. What are we talking about here? I don't give a damn about favoritism and all that kind of stuff like that. Whoever drafts him, draft him. But do your homework. Know what you're getting yourself into. Deion, if you want to be involved after they draft him, I'm fine with that. Anything else you want to add to that, Daniel?
Yeah, I think that you're right. The issue with this now is these teams, and if I'm an organization, it really is, if I'm not aligned with Deion Sanders, I ain't taking Shedeur. And I think that that's just the situation right now, right? For as much as, like, we can talk about it, I'm with you, right? We can talk about it being wrong. If I'm, let's say, the New York Giants, and I'm looking for a franchise quarterback, and Deion doesn't want Shedeur to come here, as much as I like Shedeur, and I do like Shedeur a lot. We'll get into discussions later. I think Shedeur is a very solid quarterback. I think he's not a hyper athletic quarterback, but I think his intelligence is there. I think he's come out in the fourth quarter. I think his poise is there. I really do think he's confident, and I like the certain traits that he has. But at this point, if I'm not, as an organization, aligned with Deion Sanders, I'm taking Shedeur Sanders off my board. And I feel like that's the issue right now with what Deion is doing. He is taking, Shedeur off a lot of teams' boards. And I'm sure Deion Sanders is okay with that. But let me just say this, and that's why I think that Deion knows exactly where he wants his son to go. And I feel like he knows.
That's the Raiders. Like,
it's got it.
I'm not kidding nobody. That's the Raiders. That's where you want him to go.
Yeah.
You have ties there, right? And that all makes sense. The simple fact of the matter is, I understand what influence is. I understand how this whole process works. I hate it when I go to the combine every year. You see nepotism played out at points in this league quite often. Let the process play out. If a team is poor, they should have the ability to draft a quarterback. Because I'll tell you right now, if I'm a part of that organization and you got your dad speaking out and saying all this kind of stuff like that, I got to question your mental toughness. I got to question, is this the guy that's going to be able to have the mental capabilities to lead our organization? Because clearly, if I draft you and we're in a poor spot, we're going to go through some rough patches.
Yeah.
There's going to be some tough times. Are you going to be able to take us out of that? Or are you mentally not there? Are you only interested in serving your own brand? And that speaks to a whole bigger issue. He's a grown-ass man. And I think that's the God's honest truth. Wes Hude says, I got to deal with a grown man's dad about his career at this logical standpoint. Ain't happening. Right. That's what it's about him. It's about him being the franchise quarterback, and can he lead effectively? I've never seen so many people make so many excuses as to why Deion is stepping in. At the end of the day, we'll see it all play out. That's just my thought process.